Hello, friends and clients of JLW Immigration Law Group. I am Jennifer Walker Gates, immigration attorney, and I am here today to talk in this video about what documents are required if you are filing an I-130 for your spouse. We got some feedback recently from one of our YouTube viewers that the previous video we had on I-130 documents required was a little confusing because it talks about all the different types of relationships that you can use to file an I-130. And in this video, we are just talking about spouses. So we're not going to be talking about any other kind of I-130. The only people who can file an I-130 for their spouse are U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents. So if you are a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident and you want to file an I-130 for your spouse, this video is for you. Now, before we get into exactly what documents are needed, please take a moment to hit subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help it grow so that the immigrant community recognizes that this is a good source of information for the immigration process. We want every immigrant in the United States to have access to good quality information that can make the difference between being able to remain legally in the United States or not. So please share the video with anyone that you think could benefit from the information. Share it around, give us a like, leave us comments or questions if you have them, and we will get to them as soon as we can. And let's get to it. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. I know that's supposed to be kind of a no-no for these videos, but I'm going to do it anyway because I have a document that I want to show you guys, which is available to anyone who sends us an email at our email address. We will be happy to forward this document to you if it would be helpful for you. This is the document that we use at JLW Immigration Law Group to be able to prepare a customized list of documents required for our clients. So as you can see here, this says items required I-130 petition for spouse. Okay. Now, what you'll see on this document is a little field right here that says petitioner on top. Let's say the petitioner's name. Let's pretend like the petitioner's name today is Kanye West. Okay. And then the beneficiary's name is Kim Kardashian. Now, I know as well as anyone that Kim and Kanye are not married anymore. However, we're going to pretend for purposes of this video like they are. So I'm just hoping to help you understand. Now, the petitioner may be the wife. Maybe Kim would be the petitioner in your case, and Kanye would be the beneficiary. The point is, for the purposes of an I-130, it's very, very important to keep straight who is the petitioner and who is the beneficiary. The petitioner is going to be the person who files the petition. They must be a lawful permanent resident or a U.S. citizen. And the beneficiary is the person who receives the benefit from having the petition filed. They are the person who's going to be applying for their green card or their resident status based on this petition being approved. So that's the beneficiary. The beneficiary is the person receiving the benefit. The petitioner is the person filing the petition. Okay, so we're pretending like in this case, Kanye is the petitioner and Kim is the beneficiary. Now, anytime they need a document for their case, I'm going to mark it off in this little box over here. If you send us an email requesting this document, we will send it to you and it will be customizable for you as well. It's in Microsoft Word, so you do have to have Microsoft Word, but as long as you have that, you should be able to modify it according to your needs, okay? And this is how we provide a customized list to our clients so they know what documents to get to us for their case. All right, so let's say it's the I-130 for a spouse. You're definitely going to have birth certificates for both people. So a birth certificate is going to be required both for Kanye and Kim in this case. Now, if Kim already has a green card, then this is kind of weird because Kim wouldn't need an I-130 petition filed for them if they already have a green card. So probably we need to change that line on this form. But maybe Kanye is a lawful permanent resident or maybe he became a naturalized citizen and we need to be able to prove that. If he has a passport as a U.S. citizen, we can include that. We will never need to file, if he is already a U.S. citizen, then we wouldn't need to file both the copy of his green card and the copy of his naturalization certificate. You just have to prove one or the other. So either his proof of U.S. citizenship or his proof of lawful permanent resident status, depending on whichever status he has currently. Now for Kim, for the beneficiary, If Kim entered the United States with a visa, you will want to provide that. If Kim has ever received a visa but is outside the United States, not currently in the US, but has a visa, you would want to provide that. The I-94 is a separate document given to the person when they enter the United States. If you have an I-94 for your beneficiary, that would be good. Having their passport is really important. Having their birth certificate is really important. If they have a work permit, or also known as an EAD or employment authorization document, then you want to provide a copy of that too. What you're doing with the identity documents in general for both the petitioner and beneficiary is proving who they are and what their immigration status currently is. Okay, so that's what identity documents are for. Moving on down to family relationship documents, this is how you prove the legal relationship between the petitioner and the beneficiary. Okay, it doesn't mean the good faith relationship or the bona fide relationship. That means the kind of legal validity of their intention, their relationship to each other. This is just the legal stuff, the family relationship document. So a marriage certificate, if you're filing for spouses, marriage certificate is absolutely required. If either the petitioner or the beneficiary has ever been divorced, you must provide every single divorce decree, or if they have ever been married before and their prior spouse is deceased, you must provide a death certificate. It is super important to provide proof that any prior marriage has been legally terminated. The only way to legally terminate a marriage is through divorce, annulment, or death. So if either the petitioner or beneficiary has ever been married before, then they must provide proof of legal termination of that prior marriage. Now, if a person has a different name than what's on their original birth certificate or something like that, you might need to provide a parent's marriage certificate to show the legal change of their name through time. You can also provide birth certificates of your children, stepchildren, and then if you're filing, this is really applicable for a case where a father is filing for a child and the child was born outside of marriage, DNA testing might be required. That shouldn't be usually required in a petition for a spouse. So typically for a spouse, you're just going to need marriage certificate, divorce, death certificate, and annulment. Most of the time, these other things aren't necessarily required, but if they exist, if the birth certificates for the children seem applicable, it won't hurt anything to include them. Now, this final bottom part is about the bona fides of the marriage, the bona fide relationship between the husband and wife. In the immigration context, for immigration purposes, you are not allowed to get married only for immigration benefits. In other words, you can't go into a marriage that you would never otherwise enter into just so you can get a green card. If you want to marry this person anyway, and their immigration status is an issue, it is okay for it to be an issue in your marriage. It can be one of the reasons you decide to get married now as opposed to later, for example. It is okay for you to consider the immigration benefits as part of what you're considering, but it can't be the only reason you get married. Therefore, immigration requires everyone filing for a spouse to prove that this is a bona fide relationship. In other words, this relationship exists outside of the immigration context. It doesn't just exist for the purposes of giving the beneficiary a green card. That is marriage fraud. That is illegal. That will get you into a bunch of trouble. So let's look at our list for what we require in the way of documenting the bona fides of a relationship. How do you prove to immigration that you really do plan to live as husband and wife? You really do have a legitimate marriage outside of the immigration context? Well, you can do that with the following documents. Tax returns showing both parties and or a common address. Okay, showing that you share a common address, you file taxes together as a married couple is a really good way to show the bona fides of the relationship. It also shows that y'all file taxes, and immigration typically really likes that. Bills and receipts with both parties and or a common address. Immigration likes to see a shared financial life between the parties, between the spouses. So they like to see that you may have bank accounts together. You may have credit cards together. You may have bills together, and you file taxes together. All of that is sort of what they consider financial commingling. And so you want to show that you have commingled your finances. So tax returns, bills, bank statements. Now, please note that these are not absolute requirements. If you have decided as a couple not to commingle your finances, and some couples do decide that, there are other ways to prove the bona fides of your relationship. You don't have to commingle your finances. You may have children together. You may have a rent contract or a mortgage together. Something that shows you live together in the same place. You may have insurance policies with both names. You may have friends or family who can write affidavits on your behalf and say, yes, I know this couple. They are friends of mine. Here's how I know them, how long I've known them together. And here's why I believe their relationship is valid. Wedding or family photos. In other words, photos of you getting married, photos of you as a couple, proof of financial support. If one spouse is supporting another, maybe you've been sending money, maybe you simply pay bills on that person's behalf, anything like that can prove also the bona fides of your relationship. And then we've got these other rows down here, these little fields that say other, where you and your attorney or you on your own behalf may decide that having some other kind of document filed on your behalf is a good idea. It can be any number of things that show your marital status. It could be, for example, some document that you have at school that shows, like, you've registered your child for school and you've listed your spouse as an alternate contact or something like that. It could be something from your doctor's office showing that you listed yourself as married there. It could be all kinds of different things showing that you have a valid relationship. Also on here, with your I-130 that you file for your spouse, it is critical to file passport pictures of the petitioner and the beneficiary. That is not required for any other kind of I-130, only the spousal I-130s. So for the spousal I-130s, make sure you file passport pictures of Kanye and Kim so that the requirements of USCIS are satisfied. Again, we are happy to share this document with you if you send us an email. The email address is going to be below this video, but it is info, I-N-F-O, at jlw.law. info@jlw.law. Send us an email. We'll send you this document. Thanks to the viewer who gave us the feedback about doing a separate video for different kinds of I-130s. I know this is a lot of information. I know I may be kind of all over the place. Hopefully, stepping you through this document has been helpful. If you want the document for yourself, we're happy to share. Just send us an email and we'll be happy to send it to you. With that, I'm going to sign off. Stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, share it, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.